Kemper and Leila Williams' active holiday season began with a relatively quiet Thanksgiving at the family farm in Patterson, Louisiana. However, the weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas bustled with activity. Leila always invested considerable time and effort in purchasing gifts for family, friends, and employees, including Kemper's secretaries. There were even gifts for the children of the Toulouse Street house staff. Besides all the shopping, there were parties, luncheons, dinners, and planning for the big day. Entertaining often throughout the year, the Williams preferred formal, intimate dinners over lavish soirees. Leila always took considerable care in preparing for each affair, and the Christmas season was no exception. With help from the kitchen staff, Leila planned menus, supervised food preparation, and attended to the selection of just the right table settings from the couple's extensive collection of fine linens, French and English china, crystal stemware, and polished silver. Because Leila had chosen to forego installing the usual chandelier, candelabra and wall candle sconces provided gentle illumination for the evening's repast. Longtime staff members Lawrence and Ike, elegantly attired in white tie and tails, attended to the guests at the table. The house staff, integral to all celebrations at the Williams residence, always took care of seeing that everyone's needs were met. In keeping with their numerous philanthropic activities, the Williams remembered to do their part to make Christmas a joyous occasion for all by participating in the Times-Picayune Doll and Toy Fund, a citywide program that collected gifts for underprivileged children. Christmas Eve festivities always began that morning with the distribution of toys to the needy children of the city at Pelican Stadium. As many as 6,000 children would file into the stadium, where each was allowed one present. In his journals, Kemper remarked how orderly the occasion was and how happy and thankful the children were to receive their gifts. The evening guests on Christmas Eve would be Leila's extended family. All would arrive in formal attire, adding a further touch of elegance to the festivities. Nieces and nephews with their children were ushered into the drawing room for cocktails and gift exchange in the light of a beautiful natural fir tree. Of course, Leila had diligently shopped to find the perfect gifts and Christmas cards for everyone present. She would sit with the children near the tree, watching them open their gifts, and at least once succumbed to a grandnephew's interest in her health as he administered a much-needed shot. The children thoroughly enjoyed their time opening presents and being entertained by the adults until they were driven home promptly at 7 p.m. The adults then moved into the dining room to take their places at the beautifully appointed dining table. Following what was always a delicious dinner, the guests were led to the drawing room or the upstairs sitting room for coffee and after-dinner digestifs. Eventually, the gentlemen would retire to the General's library for cigars, while the women remained in the sitting room conversing. Farewells were exchanged at 10 p.m. In keeping with local tradition, Leila and Kemper attended midnight mass, usually not returning home until 1 a.m. For them, Christmas Day itself was the quietest day of the week, and despite the late mass the night before, the couple would still rise early to spend the day together. Leila and Kemper thoroughly enjoyed celebrating the holidays with family and friends. Wreaths adorned the courtyard, doorways were festooned with greenery, the perfume of a gaily decorated fir tree blended with the aromas that emanated from the kitchen and filled the house with welcome. Yes, fond of making her guests feel pampered, Leila would not neglect the smallest detail. The quintessential hosts, Kemper and Leila Williams, put as much effort into celebrating the Christmas holiday season as they did to all their endeavors.